I would love to know, I guess, starting off with your story, how you got into politics. So maybe your earlier career and how that gradually led into politics.
Sure. I was trying to decide whether to go into the ministry or into politics. And in 1981, I was in a meeting in a Bible college where I was attending and just about graduating. And I felt impressed. I'm not sure, maybe divine inspiration or whatever, I'm not sure, but I felt impressed that I should go into politics because I wanted to have an impact greater than just on a congregation. I wanted to have an impact on millions of people for good.
Okay.
And so that's why I got into politics. My family moved here. My father was the pastor of Chilliwack Alliance Church, and the MLA came from his church, Harvey Schrader, who's still going strong today, by the way. And so I asked if I could work for him, and I got a job with him, being his assistant.
What does he do now?
And he is retired. He's almost 90 years old, but he's going strong and doing well. He retired in 1986 because he thought he was going to have a heart attack and die. And he outlived his doctor by a number of years.
Nice.
But so I worked for him. I worked for Grace McCarthy after that when he retired in Victoria.
Yeah.
Then I went to school and tried to qualify myself for public service because I wanted to be elected. I ran for nomination in '86 and lost to John Jansen, who became the Minister of Health and the Minister of Finance in the Van der Zalm government, and he was a very popular mayor. And so he was the obvious shoo-in for the job. I ran for school board after working for bureaucracy in Vancouver, both provincial and federal, for a few years and lost that. And the day after I lost that election, I was the only nonpartisan association candidate to lose in that election. And the day after, Chuck Strahl, who is an old family friend, invited me to come over for dinner to his place, and he asked me to work for him in Ottawa because he was a newly minted Reform MP. So I worked for him for a few years, worked as a researcher for the leader of the official opposition, a social policy researcher until 2002 when I felt bored. So then I went and did a PhD in history in Cambridge and wrote a book about the history of our prison system. It was about the theological origins of our prison system, which are deep and marvelous.
Interesting.
And
people can buy that book today?
They can. It's called The Protestant Purgatory. They can Google my name and find it, and they can download it online. It's done by Ashgate, which is a good historical publisher in the UK.
Yeah.
And that was a real joy of my life to be able to publish that book in 2008. So I had just submitted my thesis, and Chuck was made a minister. So he called me in the UK and asked me to be his chief of staff. I said, okay. A week later, I was in the 9th floor of the Carling building, which is the main agriculture building, because he was agriculture minister in Ottawa in the middle of winter. It was an amazing transition.
Nice.
A sudden transition. Had to find 25 staff and worked thereafter until 2011 in three different departments as chief of staff, and also for the Minister of Health for a while as an advisor. And then in 2011, Chuck resigned, and so my job disappeared. So I decided, am I a Westerner or am I an Easterner? And so I came back out west because my family is out here, and I really have roots in the West. I was born in Alberta and so on. So then I didn't know what to do. I was able to run for the BC Liberal Party in 2012. It was a by-election, and Christie was not very popular.
Yeah.
And so I lost by-elections.
I remember that, actually.
Yes?
You were at my uncle's house, Kennebunk.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
I remember asking Christie there about
Yes.
abortion, actually.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't know, I was in high school, and everyone was kind of like, why is this little young punk asking about these social issues?
Well, we talked in the van about that afterward, and I said, that in that household, that's probably not the most politic thing to say. And she said, well, I'm just being honest, that's just really what I think. And actually, they received it quite well. Yeah. I was surprised. I lost that. I hung on, and a year later won in 2013, in 2017 again, and then in 2020 I lost. 13 months ago today, I conceded.